Alright, welcome back to the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. I'm Ernest. I'm not going to be in here this whole episode. I've got a customer coming over with a vehicle, but I just wanted to talk about it before they got here. And specifically in this episode, I want to talk about pre-purchase inspections, which is something I've honestly never really done. I've done a few of them here and there, like when people are really adamant. I've come up with a couple of good ones before and gone out across town and looked at some vehicles, but just to say, like, I have a go-to list that I have and that I do this often. I don't. So to put it that way, I turn pre-purchase inspections away. The ones I have done have just been people who have really needed me to do it particularly. So I've just caved on a couple of them. That's because I'm kind of afraid of pre-purchase inspections, and that's what I want to talk about. So if you have any opinions, I want to know in the comments down below what you think. But personally, I'm stuck, like, if I do a pre-purchase inspection, particularly like on this vehicle that's coming over here, you know, and I give somebody the thumbs up to buy the vehicle and then they buy it and it has an immediate problem, you know, I'm worried of that coming back on me, of being liable. I don't think I have liability for that, but I'm just afraid of it causing issues. And in this case, the vehicle's coming over. It was probably just one of the cheaper vehicles that could be found, if I had to guess. So I didn't ask them the price of it, but maybe I should. Hopefully they didn't pay much for it because they bought it from a couple of college kids. It sounds like after they bought it, they were just going through some things and it didn't have an air filter. So now that the air filter's been put in there, it's got some O2 sensor, catalytic converter sensor, lights coming on the check engine. I've never dealt with anything like this before. It could be a bad catalytic converter, so they're going to come over and see. They've got a new filter in it, and that's when it's got the check engine light. That check engine light could have come on because they've just been driving it for long enough too. Maybe these people reset the codes before they sold it to them. So I want to give this vehicle a good look over. And that's what I want to know about pre-purchase inspections are like, is it a good idea? I know it's a good way to get new customers. And I guess I could always like bring any issue I find up in the pre-purchase inspection to them so that we could plan on getting it fixed. What I'm afraid of though is something like that. Like, hey, let's plan on doing routine maintenance, some spark plugs, the timing belt, and whatnot. And a week later, they're like, hey, yo, my catalytic converter's gone out. So that's just a tricky situation for me that I've avoided up till now. But I probably won't avoid it much in the future. I'll probably come up with, I may even make a video about how I do a pre-purchase inspection, like a 100 point, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Let me know what you guys think. I'm leaning towards I'm going to start doing it. Let me know if you think that's a good idea or what I should look out for. Am I just overlooking something I haven't even mentioned? It just kind of gives me more stress than I think it's worth, but that may just be me. My customer should be here any second when they get here. My main concern is putting an inspection camera. Where is it? Inside of the intake. I want to make sure that they didn't have a filter off of it for long, that it's not real dirty down in there. There's not much I can do at this point, but it would be nice to just get eyeballs in there and see, like, hey, it's pretty clean. I'm hoping they just took it out to sell it. So this will help me get in there. If you need to pull a spark plug out and look at the valves or anything, the inside of the cylinder walls, we can do that if I'm questioning it. So that's the main thing I want to use right now, and yeah, I figured this would be an interesting video to look at this van. It's a Honda Odyssey. I think it's like 2002, 2003, that gen, I believe. I don't know if I got the year from them though, but I think that's the impression I had. Let's see. Okay, so here's the van. Interestingly, the check engine light isn't on right now because the battery died last night, and I reset the check engine. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to see what it is or not. I still want to see if there's dirt in there, and we'll give this a good little look over. Also, were initially wanting me to look at the door right here that has problems opening. I'm not going to open it though because apparently they figured out how to make it work, but every so often they have to disconnect the fuse for it and reconnect it to reset it. So I'll just let them do that when it comes up next. But they said with that in WD-40 they got it working, so no need for me to fix that now. Here's something too, like if you did a pre-purchase inspection on this particular vehicle, you would have to have tools to open up the air filter box just to look at the air filter. Is that something people do in a pre-purchase inspection? I'm sure, but do people normally take all their tools, or do they just look stuff over, look at suspension stuff? I would probably do everything I could think of, but belt's kind of old, but not too old. Surprised it has so much of the writing on there for how old that is. I do want to look at their timing belt as well, though, and just give them an idea of how old that is. They said their transmission oil looked low, but I said, you know, you might have needed to check it when it was running. I'm not sure. So just a few things, and I'm going to start out again by looking down in there. They said there was plenty of dirt and stuff just on everything, kind of making doors and stuff hard to open and not work right, and latches and stuff. So one, it was a college kid, so I'm sure they just weren't using the back doors and stuff often. And this is a family that bought this vehicle, so they are going to be using that stuff now, so they would just notice more. But if it was particularly dirty, I'm worried about stuff getting in the intake, so we're going to give it a look. It looks like it's been just given like the little spray shine before it was sold, and like the little quick cleanup. Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like there was corrosion there and it was cleaned up quickly, and that looks accurate. Probably another reason that battery was dying. It's from this year though, so if it causes more problems, it'd probably be better to just warranty that soon. Although, they might need to find the person they bought it from to get that warranted. Alright, let's pull this open. That's what I'm saying. You'd have to purposefully check for a lot of things in an inspection. You can just be able to just show up and wing it. The customer was also worried about maybe having installed their air filter backwards since they're the ones that installed that. So I'll give that a look with my inspection camera also. It looks like they installed it the correct direction. Okay. Now, let's see what's in here. Is it dirty? It's not too dirty. Okay, well, nothing like caked on the inside of those tubes or anything. That's what my main worry was. Just seeing like mud caked on the inside of that. Well, here's the dead battery. I didn't even get this all the way run and scanned before it shut off again, so yeah, we'll probably just have to see if it has a check engine light later, but let's finish looking at everything else and talking about PPIs. Look what I just spotted. Somebody got the timing belt done around 100,000 miles ago. That's good though, because this has like 200,000 miles. We'll have to check later, I guess. Might get enough light on the dash to see. No. Yeah, it was like 200, 220 or something like that, they said. Which means it's due for another timing belt, but that means it's not a 200,000 mile timing belt that's already in there. Which is good. That just makes it a lot less urgent. You should do them every 100,000 miles. They'll last quite a bit longer than that though, so I wouldn't be surprised if the original motor had the original timing belt, and then it would be like, yeah, let's get that done sooner than later. This one's just now at its service interval though, so we're doing just fine. I'll still get eyeballs on it and just make sure that is a new belt and there's nothing weird going on. And give everything a look over for him since he's going to need one. Okay, well that's nice. A little bit of good news mixed in there with bad news. Well, I mean, I haven't found any bad news. Kind of good news on both sides, that intake wasn't as dirty as I thought it might be. That makes me wonder though, and that's what I was hoping to accomplish with this little visit, was I had two different opinions that either they removed the air filter because they knew it was some sort of cheat code to get it to pass emissions so they could sell it, or it's unrelated, and maybe it already had some sort of issue with the check engine light popping up every now and then, and they cleared it and sold it, and it's just popping back up like it does every now and then. Well, I'm going to recharge this battery the old-fashioned way. And we'll check the computer later after this runs for a few minutes. Alright, well I just got done looking that car over. It looks like overall they got a pretty good deal. Everything looks like it's in pretty good shape. If that check engine light comes back on, then I'll see what it is, you know, if we need to replace some sort of component like an O2 sensor or something. I've got it running now, so I'm going to do an O2 sensor test now that that engine's warmed up as well. But I'm glad that the inside of that intake was pretty clean. It's never a good idea to run it without an air filter, but as long as you're not like in a super dirty environment, it's not that bad either. Suspension, everything like that looked good. There's a bit of an oil leak, a lot of oil around like where the filter is, but I believe it's coming from the oil pan gasket, so I'm going to get him an estimate for that. I'll get him an estimate for doing the timing belt just because it's at its interval. But that's looking like it's in great shape as well. Because again, it's got just around 100,000 miles on that timing belt. Let's go look at the odometer and look at this thing running. It runs good, sounds good. It's just starting to get warm. Yeah, 232, so 110,000 miles on that timing belt. And it got the new one at 120, so we're right on. It's got 5,000 miles left on the oil. And let's go ahead and do an O2 sensor test and just make sure we don't have bad O2 sensors or something giving a weird reading. Basically this doesn't mean anything because the battery was just dead, but it can't pass emissions till all of these are green, so the computer's just doing its thing. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it fully reset this afternoon, so I'll just update you after a couple of days how this video goes. Alright, well I'm glad I waited a couple of days. If you can see that. There's the van there. I'll put it back on me. So yeah, I'm glad I waited a couple of days because I've got the van back here. So I've got a better update, and I'm also going to do the transmission fluid on it. So let's go ahead and get that done before the end of this video. I'm going to hook my computer back up to it though. It's definitely running its drive cycle, and we'll see if it's ready to pass emissions because it doesn't look like the check engine's on. Okay, I just got done doing a scan on this. The only DTC it has is rear engine mount actuator circuit malfunction. What is that? Engine mount actuator circuit? I guess I've never done a rear engine mount on a Odyssey. I've done the front one. Anyways, I'm gonna shut this off before the battery dies. Well, I always take the fill plug out before I drain the fluid to make sure. To make sure I'll be able to fill it back up. That's it down there. But it wasn't coming off. See, it says ATF on that bolt. I didn't even notice that with my own eye. Saw that on the camera. I cannot get it off by hand with just a normal 3/8 wrench, so we're gonna slap this impact on there. Hopefully this will do it. Okay, just barely reaches. There it goes. Nice. I didn't think it was all the way out already. Did not mean to drop that. Luckily it's right there next to its washer. That's what I was worried about, was that washer, although I do have replacement washers. I might not have one in that size. I just don't have to stress about it. Okay, here's the magnet. That's not too bad. That drain plug's in a weird little spot. You can't really not get your hand covered in oil taking that out, but I did a pretty good job getting it out quickly before all the oil spilled. That shouldn't take long to drain. It's just 4 quarts to drain and refill. So, and it was almost a quart low. Okay, the only other hiccup was removing that air intake tube to get this funnel right down in that hole. That'll make it filling up way easier. I mean, you can always do it through the dipstick on some vehicles. That's how you have to do it because they don't want you changing your ATF. So this is easy though. Should just be pouring in. I just got 4 quarts of this. 4. Pour these in. Nothing too exciting. Let's get done with it. So let me know what you guys think. Is it a good idea to do pre-purchase inspections? Kind of take into account the way I work as well for myself as a mobile mechanic. Is there an added risk doing that? I can't think of like an added risk, and I can't think I'm liable for anything, so I think it's something I'm going to start offering. Start giving people a quote for maybe $120 for a really detailed inspection or something like that. Maybe $150 at most is what I'm thinking right now. But again, if I charge people that much and then it has an issue afterwards, you know, what am I going to do? Is that a bad place to be in? It feels like a bad place, but, you know, let me know what you guys think. Because is that just a feeling thing and it's all right because we're still trying our best? I don't know. Well, if you like this episode, make sure you're subscribed. You'll help me out the most by subscribing, leaving this video a thumbs up, and coming back to watch the next one. That being said, if you like this one, check out the next one right up here. I'll see you there.